recommendation, just hey, opportunity at that medical school. So now you become you go from unknown to known by the same institution you try and get into, and then you no longer are just the application of a pre-med student who did biology. You're a known entity in the lab who people want to vouch for and help you get to that next level. So that's one way of doing it. The other thing would be if you couldn't get a course or do some research at the same time, then you really need to figure out if you need to, I don't want to say take a break. I don't want to say take a break from school, but figure out if you need to, if you already prolong it to 5 years, prolong it to 5.5 years, and then go directly to one of these institutions and do a course, the post bachelorette courses at those institutions. And I know a lot of people that did that when I was in medical school that were trying to get into medical school. They would ask us as medical students, what did you do? How did you do it? And a lot of people were doing that post bac set of courses at the medical schools, and various institutions around the nation have that. And that very often leads into either getting an opportunity at that school and or those programs are willing to write letters of recommendations to help you get into other schools. Post bachelorette. So after your undergrad degree, because I think you mentioned about getting a second undergrad degree or something just now. Right. So you're gonna finish that degree,
Yes,
and then you were gonna go and do some post grad courses.
I'm fast tracking into a master's degree in neuroscience.
Neuroscience, right. So you could complete that, or there may be opportunity to do research in neuroscience with the medical center, right? Even if you, let's say you chose UT Austin, you might not need to be in Austin to do that work. You could do it remotely. You might need to go down there, meet the professors, and say, hey, I'd like to work on your research project, but from here where I'm doing this, and they say, okay, you can do the literature review, you can analyze this data, we'll send it to you, and then now you're working remotely with this professor. You might go down there every other week, spend time in their office going over the data you collected, make sure everything's sound. By the time you complete that, they would have seen you travel from excuse me, Dallas to Austin, done this work. I mean, who wouldn't want to write a letter for someone who's that dedicated? And you might say, well, excuse me, there's no opportunity for this, but create your own opportunity. Create this. Look for it, define it, help someone else see your vision. If you don't cost them, why wouldn't they take you on?
Thank you.
All right, next question. Joe?
Thank you so much for being here. My name is Joel Ngoma, Joel. And my question is, if you had to talk to your younger self 20 years or 30 years ago, and you just, I guess, graduated from college, what would you tell him, you know, in terms of getting into the workforce? What are some advice you would tell that person? Because for me, for example, I'm the first one in my family, and I was like, I need to get into the workforce, and I have no idea how it works, and I had to figure out everything by myself. So I wish someone had told me that how you work out to navigate. So if you're in my position, what would you advise me, for example?
And you clarify that in terms of, are you coming out of college or just coming right out of high school?
No, bachelor degree. I just got my bachelor. Yeah. So if you're getting like your bachelor degree and you're about to get into your, I guess, the first job, so what are some of the things that you should have done at that time that would have made an impact or a difference?
Go ahead. Okay. So are you getting a what did you get bachelor degree in?
It was economics.
Okay. Networking would be like someone said earlier on our panel up here, to start networking when you in your junior year. So it's important to start networking before you get out of college. But since you're already out of college, get on the internet. There's so much information out there that you can find to, find other companies that you can go physically, carry your resume to them, talk to them, about getting a job.
I actually have a job. Just thinking about like if there was some mistake that you learned from when you finish, you graduate from your bachelor. What did you we should have done differently?
Well, for me as a nurse, we start, in nursing school, we do our clinicals. So when you're doing your clinical, that open doors for you to get a job from, whatever hospital that you're doing your clinical with. For us as a nurse, it's the way you go about it, talking to the people that are precepting you. If you want to go outside of where you are, then you talk to other people that already have that career to help you find a job.
I think for me, one thing that I would have done differently, I didn't understand, because the people that went before me didn't really work in industry. They were teachers and other government professionals. And I didn't understand how important networking was. And so there are different groups that meet to do networking sessions. Get out there, get involved. If you're in college, I call it joining, right? I'm not a joiner, but I probably should have been a joiner and joined a sorority or some other group of people that are doing a certain thing, so that you can build those relationships. Because when it's time to get that first job or that next job, you can call, like she was saying, your network of friends and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you know anybody? And they may not have a job, or they may not be hiring for your job, but they may know somebody. That makes a big difference.
I would say that, so I have a 21-year-old daughter. She's in grad school now at Georgetown, studying to become pretty much an ambassador. Something I remember telling her when she was much younger, that I think I got this message, or I just figured out, was you gotta pay your dues early on. Don't do your best not to mess up in that freshman year. I think that's a message that a lot of people don't get right, because then you're playing catch up with your GPA after that if you really don't do well in that freshman year. I'm not here to say you got to be a 4.0 student, but you want to try to avoid being a 2.0 student, because even if you do better every time after that, that average just never looks great. Yeah, it stays on there. So I think something people need to hear, again, I didn't necessarily experience this, but I think people need to hear, you got to get your grind on that first year. Everyone's partying, everyone's newly released from high school, got all that freedom, but don't be reckless. Apply yourself in that first year. I think that's key. And then, just as she mentioned, she maybe wasn't a joiner. I too would say I had to spend a lot of time in the library being an engineer, but I recognized the power of networking, and I did just enough to make sure that I could be counted. Because otherwise people can't vouch for you if they don't know you.
Right.
They can't vouch for you if they don't know you. You got to put yourself out there. You got to be known. I made appointments with deans and assistant deans in their office if something wasn't right. To the point that's like, again, why is everyone just doing this internship in their junior year? I think I want to do it now. Went to the dean. I think I want to do it now. You have time. You can wait. That's great. Thanks for that. So how do I get this internship? And that was my attitude, and always has been.
It's a rather tricky question, because when most of the people out here graduated years ago, there were different things available that were dishonorable to them. But nowadays, things have changed. Everyone in this building, everyone in this audience, in this conglomeration, if you don't have a LinkedIn account, you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, social media, people don't, I'm not on Facebook, never been on Facebook. But guess what? Where I'm on? My LinkedIn picture, you go there, you see my pretty face. You know why? Because if you can't that's another way to network. And we talk about technology. A lot of people judge my mention technology. That's where it all starts. When you're in that junior year of college, you better get your profile set up correctly, so people can start looking, oh, she's going to be a doctor, or she's going to be a nurse. So, and then start connecting to people. I got people right now on my LinkedIn account, they're not done with high school. I don't even know them from Adams. But because they see my title, my job title, oh, can I connect with you? I don't know these people, but they're asking me to connect with them, because hopefully they can one day get to know me and ask me to hire them. So I think that's important.
Speaking about social media, don't post nonsense on your social media.
That's right.
Don't do it. It will follow you.
Yeah, it follows you everywhere you go, even in politics.
Yeah, and they talk about our first impression. It's
Don't
important.
hold a glass of alcohol in your hand in a photo. Just don't do it.
All right, next question. Anyone? Esther? Oh, okay. Just making sure. I have two more questions, and they will come after Mr. Daniel is done.
Daniel Ihambi, with all the success that y'all have accomplished up until this point, how do y'all continue to move forward and accomplish more? What y'all's mindsets?
I think I've heard the title you never retire, you always refire. So, you may change what you're doing in terms of career-wise and maybe shift that into community service or ministry. But, if you look at people as being the task, then you always find something else to do, because there's always another person you can help, whether it's with your degree or with your skill sets. I mean, so you don't give up or say, oh, I'm tired. I mean, you get tired of the job that you're doing, the day-to-day routine, but there's always so many other things you can do that you can help people, and taking those skills and investing in them, you can't help but keep going, because there's the next person's coming and the next person's coming that needs your skills or your mentorship or your wisdom that will help them get further.
I would say that nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream, and you can't just sit around resting. There's a time for rest, but you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep striving, because it's not going to come and get you. You have to go get it.
So you have another question coming up from this table.
Yeah, so my name is Ali, and I'm a recent graduate from UTA. So I was wondering, I've seen y'all talking about the professional success and what actually success means. What I felt like professional success and personal success are kind of like two different things. So as to what you're talking about, but I think they're both linked. So professional success, a person can be should be called successful when he's professionally able to like feed his family and all that stuff, and obviously personally he should like what he's doing, and yeah, instead of differentiating between those two.
Oh, question?
Was that a comment?
Yeah, I felt like it was getting differentiated between two different things, like
Well,
professional success
I-
and personal success.
I think we were trying to
And
divide. I
one
think
of-
we were trying to divide it because we want to make sure that we're imparting wisdom to young people who are trying to get an education and get their degree. And so, yeah, they are one and the same, but we were trying to divide it to make sure that we're not communicating anything that's going to get somebody from not going to college or getting a degree because they don't like they don't want to go to school. Does that make sense? We were dividing it up in terms of the definition of a success, because the way the first question that was asked to us is, how do you define success, basically? And we wanted to put the context of a career and all that, because sometimes you have jobs that you don't like. Sometimes you have, there's no perfect job out there. There's going to be part of that job that you don't like, unless you're just lucky and you like everything you do. Even when I had my own law firm and I worked for myself, which is always a wonderful thing because I didn't have a boss, there were still things I didn't like. Maybe I didn't want to have to reconcile all the bank accounts so I could get them to Ivertus to do my accounting, So when you say successful, yes, success comes in many ways, but we were just trying to focus it in the career perspective at this time. But of course, your family and your children and all those things are considered in those factors.
I think you have to divide things up, because you're not going to be hitting on all cylinders at all times. So you might be professionally successful today, and you might be a personal failure today. So I can personally fail with my kids and have a great day at work. That doesn't make me, in my own opinion, very successful.
That's the message we were trying to convey. That's the difference. I mean, I try to use high profile names because then everyone in the room will be like, oh yeah, I remember this person. But I mean, let's take Anthony Bourdain, the famous chef, very successful but very unhappy. That's another great example of the point. We were trying to make that distinction for the younger individuals in the audience to understand that we don't solely look at the money, the monetary success, as success in this life. I would feel like a failure if I didn't have a part to play in my children's life, period. You can take all my degrees, all my accomplishments. I'd be a failure if my children didn't know me and I weren't allowed to impart my love and knowledge to them.
That's really what the message. Like for example, when you are single, for example, okay, you don't have you haven't built your family yet. Yeah, you might just reduce, okay, everything to your job, and then when you are successful at work, you think you're successful. But when you start expanding, okay, you get married, you have kids, and so forth. As it was said here, you might have a brilliant day at work, but if you left your wife crying in your bedroom there, you don't know how you're going to find her when you come back. I don't know how much that success really is. You see, so that's basically the message here.
And just to crown it, the objective today was to not get into the personal side. You cannot avoid it. It cannot be alleviated. But we were kind of trying to be focused on meaning your career and how to help you. That's why we didn't dive really into the personal side of it. It'll be another day we can do that.
And the other question I personally did have.
It's a question back.
Oh, there's a question? Okay, there we go. So you go first. Go first. And then she'll go next.
All right, my name is Chris, with K.
He's my brother, so you want to make sure of that.
It's Mark with C, and I'm Chris with K. So I have a question. Actually, I'm working for a security company. Money-wise, it's not good paid. But in terms of security in job, it's a stable job. So if I want to grow in my career, I don't want to stay there because it's stable. At some point, I will not be able to meet my needs. But when I look outside, I'm on the IT field, and most of the IT job, they go through recruiters. And those recruiters, they don't give you a full-time job. They give you part-time, 6 months, 12 months. So what is the best approach? Should I stay in a job where it's stable, but income-wise is not good? Or should I go with recruiter with a job which is not certain that it's going to last for more than 24 months, but at least it's going to put something on my resume. I've been working for this company, for this. It builds up the resume, but it's something that is not stable. What is the best approach to do that?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm too old.
How old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay, so you're 37.
Yes.
So the question you have to ask yourself, and I sat down with a young lady in my office yesterday, and I said, let's pull up your retirement date. Her retirement date was 2058. Okay, so you need to ask yourself, you're 37, if you're going to retire at 65, are you willing to keep doing what you're doing until you're 65 or maybe 70 years old? And if not, you're going to have to take a leap of faith and trust God. And I mean, because otherwise, because you're going to ask that question for the next 30 years. Does that make sense?
I hear, I don't think anything is black or white. There's a bunch of gray in between, and what you gave us were two options: stay where you are, or take a job that has more risk for your family that you have to feed. I think there may be a third option, and that may be networking with other people. It may be looking for recruiters that will help you find a full-time permanent position. You have to think about yourself, think about it from the recruiter standpoint. they're trying to fill these companies with all these temporary employees, but they also get opportunities to have full-time employees. The other thing you have to think about is if you go that route, one of the things that happens at our job, and I'm sure it happens everywhere, is what they call FTE conversions. And what they do is they convert people that they like and that have been working hard and doing really well, and they convert them to full-time permanent employees. So the question you would ask yourself is, when you are looking at these companies and the recruiters say, oh, I have this company, you would ask, what's the FTE conversion rate? So how many people are they hiring? How many people are they converting from temporary to permanent? If it's a company that has a high conversion rate, that might be a risk that you might be willing to take.
Yeah, I think that actually is an excellent point in about melding the two. But also, if you were to decide to take the leap of faith and to jump to the job that pays more but is more short term, then maybe figure out a strategy to make that work for you. So now also talking to a similar type of recruiter with the mindset of like, all right, so we know this is going to be for 24 months. I want the next best paying job, highest paying. I want to be first on your list for it. I want to interview for it at 18 months. Like you're already on to the next one. You're already moving on in your mind to that next one. So now you really created a stable environment for yourself just moving around. So whether it be the FTE conversion or setting yourself up for success in this new model, but you would have to also embrace it and just be very, very proactive at it, and then maybe you could make something of that.
Yeah, but the only thing I would say is don't let fear hold you back. Because a lot of times people stay in fear and they stay where they are because of the fear of the unknown. And that's not good.
All right, thanks a lot. We go to the next question.
Hi, my name is Ofron Goma, and I come from the Congo. So over there, I had a plan. So it was going to high school, do literature, and then go to college to do law to become a judge or a lawyer. But when I came here to the United States, I was open to a lot of options, a lot of opportunities. And thank God I had the opportunity to try all of them. And in all of them, like I enjoyed them, like being an advertiser or a manager or being a chemist and all of that. And then in all of them, I found passion and also like financial stability, like in the long term. So in the fall, I'm going to be a senior, a high school senior. And college is coming, so I have to apply. I need to know, like, at least a major, at least an idea of what I'm going to do in college. So what are some factors do you guys think I should consider to narrow down my options list?
They have tests out there on the internet, and I can't tell you exactly what they are, but they're tests that will help you identify what you would be doing good career-wise, your skill set.
Okay.
I would Google those and try to take some tests to figure out what it says you would be good at.
Okay.
That could be helpful. Also, you like a lot of different things, so try to narrow it down to what school. Like School of Business, School of Science. At least try to start narrowing these things down.
Okay.
And you might want to go talk to your career counselor because they have to have some of those tests out there that I'm talking about that will help you get a more clear path. But understand, when you get to college, the first 2 years are foundational, bottom line. And it's okay to change your major.
Okay.
Don't feel like, oh, I'm here, I have to finish this out this way. Be open to what comes across once you get there.
Thank you.
I think from the high schooler going into undergrad, anything in the computer sciences or engineering. I mean, yeah, granted I'm biased, but I also think you're gonna find a job, a career, and then buy the art studio.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah, I was going to echo what he was saying. As you're thinking about, since you like so many things, think about in research, where are the jobs of the future going to be? And channel your career into those jobs of the future, which is a little different than somebody else that says, I only like numbers and I only want to do these 3 jobs. Since you have more of a broad scope of things that you like, research the jobs of the future and marry your passion with where the jobs are going.
Do you have any other questions? We have one on the side.
Hey, my name is Lucy. I'm a mother of 2 boys in college. So unfortunately, they were not able to be here today. So I'm kind of asking questions on their behalf. So I have this boy that is in Texas State, and he's doing a business, but he wants to do management information systems. And as you said, that the colleges that you go to matter, and that the major that you doing also matters. So he's trying to convince me that he needs to move from Texas State to go to Houston, because Houston has got a better business opportunities. What advice could you give me as a mother to tell him?
Texas Tech is a
Texas
fantastic.
State. It's Texas State in San Marcos.
My daughter went there. It's 6 on one hand, half a dozen on the other. Is he thinking about going to U of H, University of Houston?
He wants to go to University of Houston because he thinks he'll have better opportunities there.
He will have a great time at University of Houston. It's a great party school.
But, yeah, we are ready for the but.
No, it really depends upon the student. My daughter went to Texas State. He probably saw her flunking out, and now she's looking at going to Houston also. I don't think it really matters when you start talking about that level of school. It's not as important. It's more important where he does well. So if he's doing well where he is, that's fine. If he wants to go someplace else and do well, that isn't going to change much. But I don't know much about IT, so I'm going to defer to these guys.
The IT guy is not here, but you closer.
And I wasn't going to make a comment on IT, but what I would say, though, is geographically, most people, and I can't say all people, get jobs where they come out of school at. So if there's more jobs in Houston versus, I don't know where you're talking about, this other location. Okay, San Marcos, I mean, he might have more opportunities coming out of school in Houston, Texas, when he gets ready to graduate.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. I mean, if he I don't know your son, I don't know the drive he has, the focus he has, but if he has already a vision in his mind that I can network more, basically is what it sounds like, if I'm reading between the lines, I can network more in Houston, then I think he's on to something. I mean, he's already figured something out that many haven't, and that if I were in this region, I think I could do more. Now, if your son barely making it through school and he likes to party and you know that about him, then you might question him, like, what's your motive here? But if that's not his motive and he's like, no, I think if I were in this market, if given the kind of degree I want to do, I'll have more opportunities, he could do that. And or if he's already aware of the jobs he would like to pursue, he can still do it from where he is now and reach out to those same companies and sign up for the internships and plan to go to that city for that. And that can suffice as well. But if he ultimately thought he needed to be in that area, I would say that's a valid point if he has that foresight and was going to take advantage of that.
Thank you.
When it's technology, I think it doesn't really matter.
Where you
really.
go.
Yeah. Technology, if the opportunity around where he is right now, all you need to do basically is going to be networking. Improve his network, it's going to be very well for him.
So this person will probably not ask the question, so I'm going to go ahead and ask the judge anyway. So somebody approached me and said, I want to do law, I want to go to law school. But I'm a Christian. I'm so spiritual. I love the Lord. And I feel like if I went to law school, I would compromise my faith. I would have to lie to defend my client. What's your take on that, Judge Maffei?
Well, I did criminal law.
Have you ever lied?
I did criminal law, so no, I didn't lie.
I mean, you got to put, we got to have some tough questions. I got one more for the doctor coming. So.
I did criminal law, and so, when you go and meet your client and you talk to them about the case, they don't usually walk up and just say, hey, I committed the crime, get me off. I mean, first of all, 90% of the cases plead guilty. They're just trying to help you get a lesser sentence or probation or resolve the issue. But the client that is guilty, they're usually telling you they're innocent too, and you're trying to convince them, no, you're on the video holding the gun, and I think that's you. You know, trying to convince them that they're guilty because they're not going to tell you, oh yeah, I did this. So, you know, I've never had myself to have to compromise my integrity to represent anybody. I truly believe everyone should have a right to be represented and have a right to defend their case, even if they are guilty. You know, and that's what our criminal justice system has been created for, and in our family law systems and all the other systems. And so I think as an attorney, my perspective is, my role is to advocate on your behalf. So all I'm doing is communicating, you know, arguing whatever you communicated to a judge or a jury. And everybody should have that right.
And the second question is to Dr. Cueto. So we got probably 2 pre-med students in this audience right now, right? And the question is, I love the Lord, and you're orthopedic, so you probably haven't been that close to it, but maybe you can speak for the medical world. Do you know, or have you heard any doctor have to compromise? Somebody's within life and death, and you made a decision that it's not worth living and to let the person die. Have you heard stories like those? And what would you tell people that want to go into the medical field? What's the anticipation? Are you pressuring to do something like that because of the code, the medical code? Are you what's your take on this?
Yeah, so, well, first off, there's such a diverse field of medicine. I mean, if you're a dermatologist, you're just not facing those decisions. So it really depends
Skin,
on what you're
just
focused on.
peeling skin.
Yeah, it depends on what you're focused on. But let's take someone who deals in oncology, dealing with cancers, tumors, what have you. They face this a lot more. Here in America, Western society, you probably get to go home each night and say, I did everything I possibly could for every patient, because our society spends a lot of money on end-of-life care. So you're not actually going to be faced with that dilemma culturally here. Now, other countries, your hands are tied. The law says you can't help people die, and you know what? We don't pay for people beyond this age or this level of sickness. And so you have to make a decision like, yeah, I think you're going to die, and there's not much we can do. But again, we don't really face that here in America because we spend a lot of money on just making everyone comfortable and everyone gets what they need. Now, let's say the paradigm were to shift, or you're in a situation where you are dealing with people who aren't compliant. That's probably the easiest situation I could think of outside of oncology, where you're watching people not do well and you're kind of having to deal with, they don't take their meds, they aren't exercising, they have poor lifestyle, and you're watching their kidneys go to waste because they're diabetic. But there's not much you can do about that, and that can be heartbreaking and frustrating as you're trying to help these patients get a better lifestyle, live a better lifestyle, and you know you deal with that, you carry that, you try your best to encourage people, inspire them, and give them the tools to succeed. One of the reasons I became a doctor is because I wanted to be a minority physician who treats everyone, but I wanted to be a beacon and an access point for other minorities who sometimes don't get the fair shake or the thorough care that they deserve. It's well documented in the literature that minorities don't get great medical care. They don't get the same pain medication when they go to the ER. They don't get the same thorough workup when it comes to their cancer or what have you. And I wanted to be an orthopedic spine surgeon who, if people come and have back pain, we're not just saying, you'll be all right. It's help them out, really guide them to the solution, surgery if needed, but really provide that care to my community. Again, it goes beyond my community, and I can't only be a spine surgeon taking care of my community, but I wanted, when my community showed up, they were getting the appropriate care.
Thank you. We've definitely run out of time if we have no more comment on the panel. There's one more question. We take this question and one last question. So you have one opportunity to ask your last question, and then we have to be closing here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Manji. I just wanted to thank all of y'all for just showing us love by, gracing us with your presence, all the wisdom that, you're giving to all of us here. It's very important, and I think there's much need for, people like you in our society right now, because, Lord knows you could be doing something else. It's Saturday, we have financial advisors, doctors, judges, CPAs, nurses, everybody from whatever field, Papa Coco. We just thank you, and just want to take time to say that. But I had a question here, if you don't mind. Just like going against the grain with regards to maybe the workplace, being maybe black, being somebody who's from Africa, having a different accent, different ethnicity. If you're going through a tough time and people are not taking you seriously at work, I mean, how would you go about that? And the other thing I was also trying to ask is just maybe like if you could give us like a sentence of something that people don't know in your field that would really help somebody, just like really help.
I think this gentleman and I were having a great conversation during lunch about for all the things you mentioned about being minority, having an accent, this and that. I mean, these are variables you can't change. All right, that's going to be with you. So you need to be creative about how you're going to thrive regardless. You're going to have to find your path regardless of that. Something he and I echoed, and it may be true for everyone else here on the panel. But when I went through undergrad, I was the black man in my class. There just wasn't any other black people. I was the one going through engineering school, and I accepted and knew for me, and probably even more so for you when you came through, that I was just going to be that minority. And I accepted that. I embraced that. Didn't shy away from it, and for whatever struggles that came with that, that was going to be my cross to bear. And things continue to improve. I know for sure I have it better than Martin Luther King did. Like, I mean, that guy went through some struggles. Those people went through some struggles, sprayed with fire hoses, bit my dog. I don't have that. But for the struggles I do have that are my struggles, I did my part to have the grades and the scores to the best ability I could, and then I made sure to show up to work capable and ready so that when that opportunity came, I couldn't be denied. Now, it may not be fair. No one says life's gonna be fair. There's sometimes I think to myself, if I weren't my color and my race, maybe I'd be president, kind of thing. Like, in other words, you do great work, and you do it for the sake of doing great work. And you continue to grind, continue to strive and grasp at those opportunities when they present themselves, continue to network. And if you were to stay and be hung up on, well, I'm African American, I'm a darker or lighter complexion, I have an accent or not, that stuff will bog you down.
Yeah.
Don't let it bog you down.
When I was 20 years old, I worked for Motorola Corporation, and it was in Austin, Texas, at Ed Bluestein. It was me, one Hispanic male, and everybody else was white, and we were all accountants. And I concluded when I was 20 years old that the only way I was going to move up in a corporation and be at the top was going from corporation to corporation to corporation and maybe coming back to that corporation. Because what I found was I wasn't being invited to the happy hours. They didn't know what to do with this young black 20-year-old female. I could do my job, I could do a good job, but I wasn't on the golf course or the happy hours when they hung out. And I learned real quick, I mean, if you're in those settings, you have to be great at what you do, your job, for them to take you seriously. You got to be the best at what you do. And you have to work hard, and you got to be there on time. You got to do all those things. But then it didn't matter for me. I could see that the white guy who started the same day, if it became time for promotion, he was going to get it because he was their friend. They went out to eat after work, and they didn't know what to do with me. But that was okay. But all I'm saying to you is you be the best you can be. And you wait for God to open doors for you of other opportunities, but be willing to take them. Sometimes you may have to jump from corporation to corporation to corporation.
Jack McVeigh, to that point, how long do you stay in a corporate before jumping onto another corporation?
You got to be led by that. Those opportunities will come most of the time from other relationships. And so you got to pray about that. You can't take God out of anything you do in the equation. But, you know, my cousin right now, she's like, they just made her vice president of Bank of America in Charlotte. But she's been at BB&T. She's at Wells Fargo now. She was at Bank of America, then she went to BB&T. She went to Wells Fargo. She had some issues at BB&T. She's trying to teach the small company who's trying to be a big company. They didn't want to listen to her. They ignored her. They got into all kinds of trouble. And the guy said, well, look, I can't lose my job, so we're going to have to fire you. But even though she had told them what they needed to do. Then they ended up paying her for an entire year to stay at home because they knew and then another company comes and picks her up. But if she had got bitter, see, we've got to make careful that we walk in love at all times. Don't get bitter. Don't get angry. Don't get stuck in that. You've got to keep a positive mindset. And I promise you, you will end up where you're supposed to be at some point. But you may lose some money along the way just because of, there is some disadvantage when the white guy gets promoted and gets $10,000 extra to you and you're both doing the same job. And understand there is some cost lost in the process, but it's okay.
I would say you need to stay places outside of the Lord leading you someplace else. That's not you running out trying to find it. You need to stay places in corporate America at least 2 years. You have to pay attention to your resume, and you have to pay attention to what it looks like to a prospective employer. If I'm hiring somebody that has less than 5 years of experience and they've had 8 jobs, I'm not going to hire them because they're not going to stay. I'm going to waste my time training them, and they're going to be gone. So you need to pay attention to what your resume looks like. I will tell you that we all have probably dealt with things that hopefully you guys never have to deal with. I have been at the company that I'm with for 19 years, and I'm just a senior director. I say the word just, I put it there for emphasis on the fact that had I probably looked differently, I probably would have been promoted a long time ago. Not because I feel like it, but because I was told, we're going to promote you, and then it turns out Joe doesn't really like you, or Susie doesn't really like you, and so I didn't get promoted, but I stayed because it worked for me, right? So it worked for me for my work-life balance. When my kids were young, I could leave every day at 5 o'clock. I was paying all the bills, so we were good. They had things going on at school. If it's 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or I need to take the day off, I could just go in and be like, oh, okay. Hopefully you guys don't have to deal with some of the things that we have dealt with, but I would say this. Don't take everything so personally. Everything, you can't get mad about every single thing. You gotta let some stuff go, and I will tell you, I'm gonna tell you a quick story, and because I know you guys want to get out of here, but I had at the same company, I had a boss, I still work for him. No, I'm serious. He did not like me, okay? He did not like me, and he told me to my face, I will never promote you. Okay, all right, well, cool. Let's figure out what I'm gonna do with that. And after a couple of days, that's when I decided to go get a master's degree, because I was like, I'm gonna be out of here. So I got my master's degree. And then something else happened. He took a lady from another department that was scheduled to lose her job and made her my new boss. I was like, well, dang. Well, she didn't know anything. I had been there however many years, and she knew nothing. And I was angry. This is my point. I was angry for a while, and I prayed on it and prayed on it and prayed on it, and I finally realized that what the Lord has for me is for me. And he finally spoke to me and said, how long are you going to be angry about this situation? And so I decided on that day that I wasn't going to be angry anymore, and I was going to work as if I was working for the Lord, as the Bible said. And then things started to change. I worked with that woman. Anything she needed, I gave it to her. Anything that man needed, I gave it to him, and I did my very best. When it was all said and done, she left the company. I got promoted. He thinks I'm the best thing since sliced bread now. And I didn't change, but I changed my attitude and my outlook.
That's what I want to add. The key point is your own attitude in the middle of all this. Because bias are systemic. You will not change it. But you can change yourself. So if you watch yourself and establish a certain reputation there, okay, and then you'll be able to move through whatever you will face. But don't expect the world to change for you. No. You have to change for the world. The way she just said, that might be the best way to move through this. But you cannot change it. And you want to change it.
All right.
Oh, I wanted to add on to that. Customer service is really important, regardless of where you work. In the healthcare field, customer service is important. Your attitude. And when I came from Africa, I really didn't know about learning body language, and people can just, look at you and think. I learned all of that here. It's important for you to present yourself appropriately.
To that question, does the way you carry your hair, you dress up, does it matter?
Yes. Yeah. Very much so. You can't want to be in corporate America and just come any kind of way.
So Suzette, I know your story because I worked with you for 5 years, and for some of you, I worked with Suzette for 5 years. We're just indifferent. I had the rule book. She had the strategic outlook, and we fought the first 3 weeks. I think when I got to the company, we had I was like, this is the rule. She's like, I don't care about your rule. I got to do it this way. But anyway, I was keeping her in check because I didn't want the company to be another Enron, right? So, but anyway, long story short, so I know Suzette's story. But yes, the real question: if somebody shows up, if somebody shows up, Judgment Day, Suzette, any of you on the panel, in your office, with we're talking about. Mark asked a question about with a tattoo on the jaw where you can see it, where earring pierced. Would you hire that person? They're smart. They got a heavy resume. Even though, now, would you, as a black person, that's one. The second thing is, well, all of you. And then the second question is, Suzette, I'm not calling name, but will our people at Vision, where I left, would they hire that person?
I would say that companies are becoming more liberal as a general rule, and we actually have some people on our team with tattoos on their feet and their legs and whatnot, and we were a bit shocked, like, oh, clutch my pearls. Things are changing. People are more inclusive. I could not hire somebody that I did not think would fit into the culture because I can't afford to make a mistake. I can't afford to wear braids in my hair. I just can't. They say, oh, well, you could wear braids. Yeah, sure I can. There are lots of things that I don't do at work that other people do in other companies. we are business casual. I wear dresses most days to work, and I wear slacks most days to work because I want to look like the position that I want to have, even though we can wear jeans.
I definitely would echo the point that I think society has become more relaxed with some of these measures. I could remember where business casual was only on Fridays, like only, and now that's, you know, you have major corporations that is every day. In fact, a corporation, USPI, they own hospitals here in the Metroplex, partnered with Baylor. They went to casual every day, and I remember meeting one of the executives for a dinner meeting. And when I saw him, I was like, "Oh, you took the day off today?" He's like, "No, this is what we wear now." And like, oh my, like it just completely blew my mind. Just really, really, really casual. And but that was accepted now in the office. I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar company, but they just went to business casual. I've seen waitresses with tattoos all down their arm, and I've even commented, I was like, "God, wow, that's really nice." So, and this is a fine restaurant too. And I said, "So is that not an issue?" And she said to me, "You know, I remember when I first started in the industry, this was a big issue, but it isn't now. Like, so the trend is there. But I will lastly say, just because others are doing it, if you're gonna get your job, maybe err on the side of caution." To her point, she don't wear the braids. To my point, I wouldn't rock the tattoo where others could see it, even though I'm the spine surgeon, well established. I'm not selling a tattoo where I think others could see it. I just don't think that comfort level is there for me in my career.
My sister works for Delta Airlines. She started at Western, now she's at Delta, and they merged with Northwestern. Their policy is no tattoos. My niece, they had 1,000 people looking for jobs, and the way they were doing interviews is based on, my sister's been there 30 years, so my niece got an interview because she knew my sister. My niece went through the whole training, went to Atlanta, did all the training, and at the end she pulled out her arm and they saw her tattoo. She did not get the job. So don't be fooled. There are corporations out there that do not hire people with tattoos, and that's their corporate policy.
And I'm finding out that, yeah, there are so many unwritten rules that they will not tell you upfront that, you know, your hair too crazy for me to hire you. But at the same time, behind the doors, they still will not give you that opportunity to get it.
But I shared this example because that's a written corporate policy, to the point that, I mean, it's not like it's a secret. They were told when they came, you cannot have any tattoos that are visible.
Interesting. So keep that in consideration as you deciding to be young and crazy. When you get old and wise, so many things we have to come back to you. And I think with that, we'll be concluding. I know you have so many urgent questions. We're already 30 minutes after our time. So it's a great time to do this. But this is not the last time we have this. We try to organize this more. We try to reach out to other churches, organize it in their churches. We try to help the young adults of our generation, the people of colors, the minorities here, to learn about the written and unwritten rules of the society. There was a fly flying over me. Again, thank you a lot for coming this afternoon. We're going to conclude with a word of prayer. And before we finish, as you all remember, my name is Mark Allen, and it's spelled with a C. Thank you very much. Pastor Vertis.
Thank you.
Can we
Yes,
can
let's
we
give a round of applause for them,
can we
please.
give the guests a round of applause? I mean, wasn't that amazing? I mean, how many of you learned something at least? Show your hand. You learned something different. You know, I know everybody on stage. I've worked with them. They're friends of mine, and I'm so grateful. Look, these people have got just. I mean, I couldn't pay Dr. Cueto. I mean, this church could not even pay Dr. Cueto, Suzette, Judge McVeigh Papa Franco Suzette for the time they've been up here answering questions for almost 4 hours. I mean, 3 hours plus. And you know, I'm so grateful because I reached out to them. This is passion for me, apart from sharing the word of God. I talked to Suzette the last time before she came here. I said, this is a passion that I have to encourage young people, especially colored people. I'm not saying it's only going to be colored, to get them to that next level of education so that they can be successful, so they can have a viable family. And so I just want to thank you for being here today on behalf of the pastor, the church, and and all the young people, just thank you for your time. I'm heartfelt, appreciative of your time. You left your family. I just want to say thank you. Merci beaucoup. After we pray, we're going to have pictures out there. You see where that banner is? We're going to take picture of all the panelists. If you don't mind, before you run out of here, please don't run out. We'll take pictures with all 6 of us. And if you want to talk to them, they've been here. You should have talked to them during the lunchtime. They have to leave. Time is fast spent. They got to go to their family. But again, thank you so much. Give them one more round of applause. Thank you so much. And then I'll say a prayer. Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this great opportunity. There are a lot of people that could not make it for reasons that we will not understand. But we thank you for those that made it and those that have listened. We pray, oh God, that they will digest what they've listened to, and Father, that will grow and it will germinate and it will bear fruit, Father, in their lives. Father, all that we do is for your name's sake. And even we go to work and our businesses, it's all about you giving us the strength and the idea and the life and the health and the breath and everything, God, is you, the glory. And so we thank you for this moment as we're about to leave. We pray, oh God, that you will protect these people that have giving up their family and their time to be here. I pray, oh God, you will bless them enormously, oh God, in the name of Jesus. Protect them. Open doors for them. Give them favor, oh God, in the name of Jesus. We thank you for this time and we give you all the praise and honor. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for coming. Picture. Let's do the picture.
We can do it here. We can go down there later. Sylvain? Sylvain? Yeah, Sylvain. Oh, we got one more. We got one more up there. That's the church one. Yes. We get enough line. Tusuke? Sylvain? Tusuke? Let's go down there. See, the light is better down there.
We get better light.
Yeah, we get it later. Yep.